Thank you for joining us here on Leadership TV. Of course, you are watching The Spice on this channel. I am Cynthia Onwado. Well, today we're going to be talking about something really interesting. Studies over the years have showed that when marriage decisions, or rather decisions, are made at a much younger age about who you want to spend the rest of your life with or get married to, it's usually done in a way that it ends up getting really bad. That means that when you make decisions at a younger age on who you want to get married to, it usually ends in divorce. Well, that's what studies show. And on that premise, today we're going to be discussing if age really matters in dating and marriage relationship success. And to discuss that topic with us today, we have Shitu Ola, who is a life coach, and will be giving us a lot more insight on this particular topic. Thank you, Shitu Ola, for joining us today.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me on the program.
You're welcome. Well, on this premise, I just want to ask, do relationships that have age gap usually work out?
When it comes to matter of human beings, there's no one box fit all.
Yeah.
So there are cases of relationship with age gaps that have really worked out very well. And there are cases of relationship of people with almost the same age that hasn't worked out. And vice versa as well. So when it comes to relationship, does age really matter? It's a yes and no. Because it has worked out for some people, it has not worked out for some people.
Well, what are those ways that we can get to see if it's a yes and no answer? What are the ways that the age factor actually affects? Because you said it's either yes or it's no. Just give us those yes and no examples now.
Okay, so let me start with what is the culture of the people in question. There are situations where culture plays a high preference in the way people go about their things, and even in relationship as well. So for a relationship where, let me use the word submission, everything I'm going to say is going to be a bit subjective because everyone have their own definition of when you say submission.
Okay.
Everyone have their own definition of respect. Everyone have their own definition of love. And in relationship, we are all out seeking what we don't have.
Well, that's why you want a
want a partner, right?
Partner, yes.
So the point is, whatever situation that leads to your relationship, your own values, your culture would come into play and determine if you guys are compatible or not. So you come in with your own culture, the other person is coming with our own culture. Culture here is not Yoruba, Asian, Igbo. Culture is the way you understand life and you live in it.
Yes.
So it encompasses your upbringing, your environment, your religion, everything around your way of life. So you bringing that to the table, another person bringing that culture of theirs to the table. If both are compatible, then the age probably becomes a number. But if both are not compatible, then it still becomes a number.
Well, I also know that some factors like family.
Yes.
We're talking about sexual health, children, career. And some of those things can actually affect, just like you said, people grow up in different ways. And I'll use an example with a Nollywood actress that recently got married, or father, and she had a problem with the family of the husband, the core family of Victoria Island, who had to put out a disclaimer and said, this marriage that is going on, we have no business with it. That's a very reputable family from Lagos, Nigeria, and they totally distance themselves from that particular marriage because according to the statement that was put out, they are not in agreement with it with one very basic factor. Wofi is said to be a lot more older than their son, who Wofi was getting married to. And sometimes I know family acceptance can be a very disturbing factor when it comes to age gapped relationship. But I also talked about career, I talked about children, sexual health, of course, especially when the gap is really wide. So what is the right age gap that you think should be between couples for dating or marriage? What do you think? 5, 10, 15, 20?
I think with age, it's like putting ourselves in a box. The truth is, you'd say, older men seems to be wiser based on their experiences. Just like you have older men who are old, you have fools who are old as well.
Yeah. Okay.
So it is easy to say, let there be a 5-year, a 10-year gap, but doesn't necessarily mean that they will understand each other. Doesn't necessarily mean that the marriage will not have its own encumbrances. Doesn't necessarily mean there won't be ups and downs. Naturally, there are bound to be ups and downs. It's the ability of those individuals involved that would help in navigating all this turbulence.
Yeah.
So, in as much as you could say, okay, especially within our own climb here, looking at the example you gave, in our own climb, we would say, yes, the husband should be at least a bit older than the wife, let's say 10, 5, within that range, thereabout. And it's because of what is attainable here. Because within most of our culture, now I'm talking about culture, you want the husband to be the provider, the breadwinner of the house.
The man is the head after all.
Okay, so that means you're giving the man a leverage of time to have acquired some things before the woman joins him.
Yes.
So, but it's not doesn't always play out like that. You find men who have struggled all their life, who have worked hard, but still they don't have so much money. Does that mean they have to keep working until they have so much money to get married?
Well,
So many they would want to marry within their own class, understandably. So it doesn't mean they'll still be able to provide all their basic needs. So if age is giving us that span of trying to gain more in terms of wealth, riches, to be able to sustain a marriage, then it becomes a no-no factor. If younger men could have that much money,
well, let's be as realistic as possible. When we're talking about age gap relationships, it differs according to gender, all right? Because an older man getting with a younger woman, he's already achieved everything in life. You don't really have so much more to prove, but there's also a downside. That person might like to take their phone and dance on TikTok and do Facebook, FaceTime, on Instagram and all other apps. And then, the man is not really cut out for all those things. Physically, he might not be able to meet up. Sexually, in short, the mind is completely different. You are probably 20, 30 years apart, just like our very own Nollywood actress Regina Daniels and Ned Woko. We can see that age difference. So let me move to the men. If it's a younger man and an older woman, there might have to be a lot of catching up because of a truth now, naturally, women get matured faster than men. If you put a 15-year-old girl here and a 15-year-old boy here,
Yes.
the way they talk, that 15-year-old girl probably wants to be an astronaut. She wants to be she wants to be a pilot. But that 15-year-old boy just wants to watch Batman. He just wants to watch a movie where Tom Cruise is shooting guns. He really doesn't care about. He's not talking about his future at that age. So when it's a younger guy and an older woman, a lot of catching up needs to be done, really. And then the issue of respect is there again, because there's tendency of
so
I don't know what.
let me jump in there.
That.
Initially I mentioned things around your value, your respect, your culture, because in both cases, values comes into play, in the sense that, just like you mentioned, the older man may not have the time to do TikTok, be on Facebook, but if you could understand the fact that, okay, this is what this generation is all about, and we could have an agreement like
a middle ground.
With this, all your paparazzi, you can excuse me. We don't have a conflict over it. So meaning there are already boundaries around it. So within our relationship, you could go ahead, do your TikTok, do this, do that. It doesn't affect our relationship. Okay, these are the things that would affect our relationship. This is how we go about it. These are the things that would affect our relationship. This is how we go about it. And just like you said, biologically, the women grow faster.
A lot faster mentally.
That's why I use the word biologically. Even with the basic biology, they get into puberty earlier than the boys and things like that.
They get to meet older men faster than
their own peers. So the point is this: at a point in time, there's always there's also a catch-up gap for the guys, because the moment he gets into school, he gets to see some level of reality and things are done in home on his head. Like nobody will be there for you forever. You are the one who is meant to hustle for yourself and things like that. So he also tries to quicken his own pace. But I think one thing that is always very important is this: understanding yourself as an individual. Understanding, okay, this is my own personal value, this is my own personal goals, whatever the society plays out. Because as much as you could say, okay, the biological growth of an elderly woman to a younger man, but what is always want in a relationship, from what I've learned so far and from studies, is we're all looking out for what we're missing. Whether you're looking out for companionship, for happiness, for love, we're all looking out for the things we're missing. So whichever way it is, it's our ability of the two individuals to come together. Okay, how do you want respect? How do I want respect?
You might meet that person that's giving you all of these things.
Obviously.
But then the conflict comes in because of the age factor and the difference. Because we can't lie to ourselves. Okay? Age is no matter whoever says age is not important is actually lying. Or you say you are just 1 year ahead of me, please, we are mates. No, even if that person is one, just like twins born within 1 second, there is a huge difference. So that 1 second difference is very, very huge. So age is very, very important. No matter, even if that person is older than you by 1 minute or 1 day or 2 days, the thinking it's going to be a lot more different. So that's looking at the both genders. Now let me start with the women. Okay, why is it that the society, I will still go to the other side. Why do you think that the society accepts the older men getting with younger women? Or let me even hit the nail on the head. Why do older men like younger women? Why? Because we've seen it over and over again. To some people, it might be gross, it might be abnormal, it might be a sort of unnatural or even irritating. But a lot of people in the society actually accept it that older men should get with younger women. Why do you think it's like that?
Cutting the age of pedophiles away, meaning that's an extreme. So no one
in Nigeria, legal age is 18, right?
So let me put it this way. Let me use the colloquial descriptions of the elders. They say we find a flower blooming in your garden.
Okay.
And looking at it, women get to be at their prime within their earlier years, from 18 to 29.
Yes.
That's the prime age. That's where the old beauty, everything blooms out. And the psychology of man is someone who is visual. You get attracted to the things he sees.
Yeah.
So you can't compare the beauty, frankly speaking, of a let's say
18-year-old
of a 25,
a 35.
No, let's say a 25. Let's stay in the middle, a 25.
Okay.
With that of a 35-year-old woman.
Okay. So
because
is it now purely physical?
Like I said,
is that why older men like younger women?
Man naturally is someone who is visual. He gets attracted to the things he sees. Let's use the example of social media. What catch the attention of most people on social media is the things they see.
They see, yeah.
So man naturally is a visual human being. Meaning, you could write him a poem and
it won't have any effect. He needs to.
But if you give him something he can see, and like, yes. Oh, so this is it. Wow, this is. So the same thing now happens within both genders. So man is very, very seeing a blooming flower and seeing a flower at its prime. With the blooming flower, you don't know the extent of beauty it's going to emerge with.
Okay, so it's just like a flower now or a chocolate. You just want to remove the wraps and get to see what is inside.
Thank you.
Okay. The fact that this is all being so just about physical, I don't know if I'm up.
It's not just all about physical, but I think it's the first phase of things.
Okay, the first phase. There's still other steps.
There are still other things.
Right.
So the first phase is, this young girl, blooming flower, right? So now, imagine now, the girl is now very intelligent, business savvy, having all those other qualities attached to it. Then this is beauty and brains.
Okay.
So that's probably another pass.
Okay.
So now look at it this way. Imagine a businessman who have probably multiple businesses and wants a life partner. Would you want someone who could help you within your own business, showing that the person understands the trends of things, and probably, if age is the rate at which people die, could easily survive your business and help you with new innovations based on the current trajectory of things within the space?
Okay. So that young person represents something fresh.
Thank you.
And new and exciting.
Thank you. So meaning, even if I have my own perspective as being closer to being old, many things are changing. So I need someone to give me a new insight on how I could get things done. Someone who would give me a listening ears and also understand how current trends are going and also help me within that budget.
All right. Okay, so physical, mental, in every way. So on the other side now, why do society kind of frown at older women, younger men union? I've talked about the side that is very acceptable, and this other side, just like what the Cole family of Victoria Island did. Like, why so much animosity? It's like a pushback against an older woman, younger man union. Why is it usually
let me start this way by saying the things we call culture are the things we've agreed to accept.
Mm.
So I would say within our climb, we've agreed to accept that it is fine for an elderly man to marry a younger woman,
Mm.
and we've abused our own mind at a younger man marrying an elderly woman.
Good.
We are the one that abused our mind.
Good. I love what you said there, because culture is actually man-made.
Yes.
We made the rules for ourselves,
Yes.
and somehow the rules are even working against us.
So it's not as if anybody sat somewhere to write it down.
Write it down.
But you'd hear one man say, so you cannot find any younger. So you cannot this, so you cannot that. As if the older woman is not as beautiful as she is. Because
Okay.
truth be told, like they would say, old wine would always taste better.
Okay.
And looking at it in terms of companionship, an older woman is always a better companion than a younger woman.
But people always see it as someone taking advantage of the other. That's the older woman being wiser and more experienced, of course. It's almost like she's trying to take advantage of.
But why don't we use the same in the other space as well?
Well, just like we said, man-made culture.
So the point is, because we've accepted or we've created that old that no, an older woman should not marry a younger man.
We've made it so abnormal now, unnatural.
So we are the one that abused our own minds. No one has
Okay.
forced us to accept that. So in cases, there are a lot of cases where older women marry younger men and they have a very blissful relationship.
Yeah, one of the beautiful ones I can remember is Dari Atalade and Diola Atalade. I think there's a 8-year difference between them. Yes, and she's older than he is. So it's actually a very beautiful marriage now. And that's one of the examples that I always look out for. Yeah.
So for me, I think the fact that we've abused our mind towards that, and sometimes we trying to find a way of using religion to justify it, which is not true in any way by both predominant
Religions.
Islam, Christianity. There's nothing in Christianity that says you must, or in Islam that says you must. So for me, I think it's the fact that in as much as they would say it's a man's world, but women's rule the men indirectly.
Really?
Indirectly, it's an indirect rule. But the point is the fact that you find people, sometimes even women, using that as a battle tool within.
In what ways?
Okay, so like the example you gave, why would someone say, okay, because you are older than this person, you should not marry this person? The truth is, being older doesn't mean you are not going to have a good relationship. Okay. Being older doesn't mean you are not going to agree on the basic necessities. Being older doesn't mean your house is being governed by one person. Because even in a marriage, you need both parties at the table for the marriage to work.
Definitely.
So age doesn't really decide who rules or who does not.
Okay.
If we go by the religion, they say man is the head. Well, man is the head, but is the head going outside? So who manages the house when the head is not in?
Okay. So you actually believe age does not matter?
I don't believe age matters in any way. I believe the values you both come in with are way more important than your age factor. Because if your values don't match, you are going to have a clash.
Definitely. Talking about values now, sometimes the other person might be all you ever wanted. But if you don't, I think this age thing has rules and regulations. All right, it's quite dicey, especially for an age gap that is very large. Imagine a man being older than a lady with, let's say, 15, 20 years. It can actually, if they are not careful, there can be a conflict of interest, because the younger woman wants to do this, the other man sees it as childish, or even the older woman being wanting to do a particular thing, and the younger man seeing it as a cake or what have you. So if they are not both careful, there can be a very, very big clash. And then the issue of respect comes in again. That is something, I think that's the reason why people frown at the older woman, young man union. The issue of respect. She'll take advantage of him, she will not respect him, she will suppress him. I think that's why society frowns at that. So these people that are in question, these people in these unions, they have to play their cards right and do all the right things. If not, we get to see, that's why we see a lot of clash.
Well, for me, I think one important factor is if you're not in that relationship, often than not, you don't even understand what it
what it
entails.
entails. Yes.
So when people say, "Oh, wow, someone will look down on you," someone, when you say respect, respect is not prostrating. It's not greeting someone good morning.
No,
It's
it's
not.
not. It's not.
So respect to me, to a large extent, is different from respect to you.
Okay.
Example, if someone walks in and say, "Oh, you're looking so glamorous today," it's a compliment from my own end, but you may see it as being respectful.
Well.
If someone comes in and say, "Oh, good morning, ma, I have a delivery for you and I need you to sign here," sounds nice and okay. But another person comes and, "Sorry, who is, you have a delivery here, come and sign." It doesn't mean the second person is not respecting you. It just means that the understanding of his own processes of doing his job differs from
Quite
the.
different. Yeah.
So respect for us as individuals different from one form to the other.
Okay.
So some people would say respect is not just written. Respect could be the tone and manner in which I speak with you. Respect could be even when you are angry, how do I address your anger? Respect is me understanding this is my boundaries with you. This is where I need to stop
Draw the
playing.
line.
Yeah, those things, those are respect. So when you now have an age gap in your relationship, naturally you know that there are some things I do in my generation that does not pertain to this person's generation. So
Yeah.
respect is understanding, okay, all those your bravado, when you do them, just stop here. And you understand that, oh, when I do my own, I would stop here. Then this is our neutral ground. Because understanding this would make the big, clear difference. So whether the woman is older or not, the woman understand, okay, this within our own relationship, this is how it works for us.
Okay.
Or outside our relationship, this is how it
How
works
it
for
works.
us.
So it's different according to who and who is involved.
Thank you.
I just remembered something now. I know I've seen quite a few people frown at the older man, younger man union, especially if that man has never been married. It's a different thing if he's a divorcee, he has been married once or twice. It's quite different. But when it's somebody that has never been married before, there are talks of, okay, he has played the field and he's tired now and he's looking for a wife in form of a nurse that will take care of him when he eventually gets sick with maybe prostate cancer or like a kidney disease or something that requires somebody, a caretaker. So there have been talks about people getting a caregiver wife, kind of maybe a man that spent all his better years playing the field and then wants to retire.
So for me, like I said, we live in a climate where everyone believe or everyone wants to have a say in other people's matter. And I think that's some of the things we need to dissociate our minds from.
Okay.
In as much as we could say someone has played the field, then it means you are there with him when he was playing the field. Because as much as we could say, oh, it was gallivanting, it was this, it was that, it's not your life.
Okay.
Let's be frank, it's not your life. If you have something to take up with him, probably you believe he has done something bad for someone, then take it up with him.
Okay.
And we need to dissociate from just living on rumors and ESAs. And it's one of the things that have affected our kind of culture. Because you hear people say, oh, didn't you hear? Didn't you hear? And
She said.
now no one can really confirm what the story really is. So for me, if you find someone who is very old and you think this person is looking for a nurse, not a wife, then it's for the lady to decide.
Okay.
As much as a family could also help her in that decision, because the family could easily influence her decision. So the other face of it would be people calling her a gold digger.
Well, that's also there.
Because so you didn't see any of your own young men who is trying to struggle. Is this rich man you want to go and die? Is about to die, you want to go and marry. So but the point is this: the man and the lady have the sole decision to make. Because they are the one going into that relationship, be it sweet or bitter. They are the one who is going to taste it first. So in as much as we want to say, oh yes, taste the field, you shouldn't marry a younger lady, if it is not you, then why question the lady?
Well, why question anybody for doing what they want to do? I think when it comes to age in relationships, there are rules and regulations according to who you are in the union with. So just do the right thing and play according to your relationship or your marriage. At the end of the day, age in relationships do not matter. What matters are the people involved in it. Thank you so much for joining us today on Spice. And thank you, Shito Ola, for analyzing this particular
You're
topic.
welcome.
And I remain Cynthia Onwado. I'll be back next week with more edition of Spice. Stay spicy. Bye.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 08036886158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word. Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.